Good evening. It's that time again when we bring to you the Gorgeous Woman Show, and as always, I'm excited to host the show. My name is Reverend Ruth Omoyo, and you're watching CTN TV, where you only get such kind of stories. And we believe that when a woman shares her story, she not only inspires her world, but she motivates somebody, and it tells that even though the enemy has brought things against your life, you still can overcome with the power of God. As our commitment is, every time we've brought to you a wonderful guest that has a story. She's a pastor's kid, married to a pastor. The story unfolds, so don't touch that dial. Call your friends and family, share with them, and let them know that you are watching the Gorgeous Woman Show. So welcome so much, Mercy.
Thank you.
Kindly introduce yourself to us. Tell us what your good names are, where you come from, and we truly appreciate that you came today.
My name is Mercy Mwendege Shohe. I am a married woman.
Yes.
I have a son. I am a music minister.
Amen.
I am a business lady.
Hey.
And I am an accountant by profession.
Great.
And I am so delighted to be here today.
You're most welcome.
To share my story.
Yes.
Not as a pastor's wife,
Yes.
generally, but as a pastor's kid.
Okay.
Because I have realized that we have very many pastors' kids.
Yes.
Who are undergoing so many challenges, and people do not understand them.
Yes.
But because I've been there, I have been an advocate for pastors' kids, and
good.
I share my challenges with them,
Yes.
and I encourage them,
Yes.
and I make sure that they know even if people have expectations about them, they are unique.
Oh, yes.
They do not have to be small pastors. They have a life.
That's they don't have to be mini pastors.
Yes,
Yeah.
they should not be small pastors. They should be themselves and serve God as they would want to.
Great.
Yes.
So where are you born?
I was born in Nanyuki, and then we stayed there for a few years, say 5 years, and then we moved to Meru South, that is Chuka.
Chuka, yeah.
And the reason why we moved, in Nanyuki I can say life was very good, but we had also built there, we had a home, we had a shamba, we would get our farm produce and use them in the house. So it was a comfortable life. Then my dad was a teacher and my mom was a nurse. So while we were in Nanyuki, my dad tells us that God spoke to him that he should move to his home place and start a church.
Oh, wow.
And it was a bit difficult even for my mom to accept because she had been in a church and she saw how pastors were treated. So she resisted until God spoke to her, and she told him, if you do not let him go, then I will take him to myself. And then she had to accept.
Wow.
So we moved to Chuka.
Yeah.
That's where now my dad started a church.
So how many siblings do you have?
I have 2,
Yeah.
a brother and a sister. So we are 3.
What born are you?
I am the firstborn.
The firstborn.
Yes, but I say I am a rainbow baby
Yes.
because before I was born, there was another child, but they were not born. My mom had a miscarriage, so I am a firstborn and a rainbow baby. And my mom tells me that because she struggled to get a child, she told God, the first baby you give to me, I will give them to you to serve.
Wow.
Yes, to serve you. So I think that has been the string that has been pulling me every time. Yes, every time I try to run away from God, I am being pulled back to God. Yeah.
So where did you go to secondary school? Where did you go to college? So that people who are watching you, probably they need to link up with you. They can see Mwende, this is who she has become.
High school, I went to Chuka Girls High School.
The very place where your dad opened the church.
Yes. In fact, it was nearer my home than even my primary school.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't want to go near my home place. but I had to accept
Okay.
the will of God.
Great.
Yes.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Kabarak University.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow, our guest, that is her background, and don't touch that dial as we hear her story. Her story is inspiring. She'll be inspiring, especially the pastor's kids and those who are in the church circles. You'll be able to relate to her because sometimes the pastor's kids are overlooked, or probably the expectations and the bar is set so high, and some of them suffocate under that influence. But Mwende is here, Mercy Mwende is here to just shed some light on it. And I believe, like me, because I'm a pastor, I will benefit from it as well. So see you after the break. Welcome back, our viewer, and as always, as we do, Mercy Mwende is my guest, a pastor's kid, and living the life that God has intended her to live. And congratulations, you're a mother.
Thank you.
A mother of a 2-year-old.
Yes.
And maybe share with us in brief, even before we talk about your marriage and your life, how does it feel to be a mother?
For me, being a mother, it's a blessing, and I have really appreciated that God saw it good to give me a child. But I had fears because I had issues with my self-esteem because of my color. Yeah. I remember when I was around class 1, when I was going to the washrooms, I met a boy who was around class 6, and he told me, "We ondoka hapa, wewe ni mweusi kama makaa."
Just a random boy? Yes.
Wow. But I remember the scenario very well, and those words stuck with me for a long, long time. You can hear, I can also remember them until today. Yes. So that put a lot of fear in me, what kind of babies I would give birth to, because I wouldn't want them to go through such stigma and being looked down upon because they are different in some ways.
Did that ever happen in church, or it only happened in the school?
It happened in school. So even if people appreciated me, like when I used to go with my mom to her workplace, they would tell her, "Huyu mtoto wako ni mrembo sana, yeye ni black beauty." But when they call me black beauty, I felt abused. So if you called me blackie, kablaki, I would feel very bad and I would feel insulted. So I even asked 2 of my friends who are my mentors, older than me. I always wonder what kind of children I will get. Because I never thought even I could get even married to a handsome person.
And I think it's a fear in every child.
Yes.
But now it becomes more amplified because when you're a pastor's kid, your social circle is very limited.
Yes.
Did you ever feel like your social, circle, because you're a pastor's kid, limited you in a particular way?
Personally, I think I was born a sanguine, but now because of that setup, growing up in a pastor's kid, it's like I became introverted because I was very careful how I behaved around people because you'd hear, "You're behaving like that and you are a pastor's kid." Oh. So I would tend to keep quiet and keep to myself. I never shared anything so that they do not victimize me or they victimize my parents. Oh. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said in the introduction that you were in Nanyuki and then you moved to Meru and your parents became pastors.
Yes.
What was the sudden change that you felt as a child, except the geographical relocation, beginning a church? Did you feel any different than now your parents were pastors?
It was not very different. Maybe what I can say, I thought we started struggling financially. Because like in Nanyuki, we had a farm, we would get our food from the farm. But now here we have come to rent. And then like when they are cooking something, we are supposed to maybe to have potatoes for supper or something, they used to give us bananas. And I used to hate bananas with a passion. So I disliked that. And then there is a time, our dressing was very bad. Like we would get clothes from our cousins and friends, and I used to feel it's a bit difficult for us.
Did you begrudge God for calling your parents at some time?
At some point, I think I was mad at God, but not because of my parents.
Yeah.
It was because of the issues that I was going through.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you share with us some of those issues?
For instance, the feeling that I was not beautiful, because I remember one of our house helps was telling me, if you go to the bathroom and use the scrubbing stone on your face, it will remove the dirt on your face. So I would stay in the bathroom for more than 30 minutes trying to like clear my face and see whether it will be lighter. And I used to pray and tell God, when I grow up, I want to be light-skinned, I want to be beautiful, I want to be accepted. But sadly, it never happened.
So where did that conversation begin? For the house help to tell you that when you clean yourself with a scrub, it will go. Is it that you shared with her?
Yeah, I think I shared with her and asked her, why am I darker than everyone else? It's not like our family, they are not dark, but I was
A little
the
bit
darkest, yeah. So even in class, when a teacher asks who is the darkest, I was always the darkest in my class. And that is something that I used to note. Even when I went to campus, I noticed I was the darkest for the ladies.
And surprisingly, it's not very notable. I don't know, but it depends on the perspective.
Yes, and then I think because I used to be a bit moody, I never used to smile because of the issues inside.
The darkness.
Yes, I would look darker.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but I accepted it. I feel beautiful. Even if you tell me I am fat, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I care, it's because of my health.
Yeah.
But telling me I am fat.
Yeah, how people view
yes,
you
yes, yes.
So at what point did you have an encounter with Jesus Christ? Because it's possible to be a pastor's kid and you don't have a relationship with God at all.
I remember when I was around class 2 in Nanyuki, we had a conference. And then the pastor asked who would want to get saved. And we were 3 of us, we were kids. So we lifted our hands and we were prayed for. But when it came to the ushers taking the people and go talk to them, we were left. We tried to follow, no one cared.
Ordinarily, that is what people do.
Yes, so I thought then this salvation is not for kids, it's for adults. So I remember when I grew up, we used to do fellowships in our house, we used to pray every evening. And one time in church, one of the ushers went and told my dad to his ears, I want to tell your daughter to go out, because when we come to church, she doesn't open her mouth to sing and she doesn't pray. She just looks at people. And that time I was very mad at God. I didn't have that passion for God. So when he told my dad like that, and he was saying about me and another girl. So my dad told him, just leave them alone. God will deal with them. Yeah. I remember that day very well. I saw him go to my dad, but I didn't know what he told him. So after some time, he was telling us how now someone came and spoke to his ears that he wanted to remove us outside the church. So in my mind, I remembered that day and I knew it was that day. But as I continued, I prayed to God and I told him, I have really struggled within myself, but I know you can heal. I have seen you lift us. When we were down, you have lifted my parents, you have favored them. I know you can do something in my life, and enough is enough. I am tired of being sad and being moody. Just change my life. And from that day, I cried as I was praying, and God changed my life.
Amen.
I started smiling. I started being friendly to people. I even started ministering in church. I would go and sing. I would sing in church, in wedding events. I would I would sing even in burials.
Wow.
And I never cared who the audience were. Even if they were 2-3 people, I would sing.
So how did it affect you as a teenager?
As a teenager, I can say when I was a bit young, there are people who are planning to get married. They would come for counseling at our place. And I remember there is one guy, they came and spent the night, and then they left in the morning, and then this person came back. This guy came back and started telling our house help that he loves her. So his fiancé has left, he has come back. And then the house help told me, and I was telling myself, when I grow up, I want to be serious. I do not want to be playing with boys. Wow. So as a teenager, I had those feelings, but I tried to suppress.
Yeah.
I tried to suppress because I was thinking, I am sinful. How am I getting attracted to a boy?
Yeah.
This is sin. We've been
told,
yes, again and again, that you should not relate with the opposite sex in an ungodly way. So I struggled. I used to wonder, am I still saved or am I not saved?
Yeah.
But I realized even this guy, he had his struggles. And now because I have become a teenager, I am trying to find myself, then I am also going through the same thing. So at times I would feel I am not saved. I would get born again. After some time I backslide. Again, I get born again.
Yeah.
But God has been gracious with me.
Amen.
Yes.
Wow. So let's go to your dating life. So now you've completed. At what time did you begin to date? Is it after you'd finished your college or because you're married?
Yes, I am married. Yeah. So I started dating in college.
Yeah.
I was a very naive girl.
Yes.
I didn't know anything about relating with boys. I used to have friends for boys. Most of my friends were boys. But it's like I didn't understand what goes on in a boys'
girls relationship.
Yes. Yeah. And even in the body, I used to think they can be strong as ladies. Yeah. So I was a bit focused on what kind of a person I wanted. At the start. I wanted someone who would help me to walk with God, someone who would help me to stand and grow in faith. But as you know, in campus, there are no restrictions.
Yes.
So I got hooked up to someone who was not saved. And now they introduced me to some stuff. Yeah. I am not sure whether I am allowed to...
Why not? It's your story as long as you're comfortable sharing.
Yes.
Because these things are not a reserve for those who are like outside church. They happen to people in church, even pastors' kids.
Yes.
So I think because the motivation here is to be a blessing to somebody and not to shame anyone or to glorify sin.
Yes.
If you feel comfortable to share, you can share. Yeah.
So I started dating in college.
Yeah.
You know, when people go to campus now, there is freedom.
Yeah.
There are no parents there to supervise you. But I went to a Christian university, so there were a bit of limitations. So I got my first boyfriend in campus. And when we started dating, he introduced me to some stuff like kissing, holding hands, hugging. Generally, I used to hug just my dad and my brother and my cousin. So here you are hugging every boy. And these things now, they would make me feel guilty because my dad used to tell us that kissing is a sin.
Yes.
So every time you start doing those things in your head, you know
You are
that,
sinning.
yes, I am sinning. But now I am torn between keeping this boyfriend and keeping Jesus.
Yeah.
So most of the times I was struggling, and I started missing church. And for us, it was mandatory to attend church. So I used to skip church and maybe go to another church outside, or I just stay in the room and sleep. And even when I went home, I would refuse to minister and tell my dad, my life is not right with God. I have done stuff, and I am not sure I can be able to stand on the altar and lie to people that my life is straight.
So at least you were honest.
Yes, I was honest.
Did he inquire from you what you did?
Not really. He didn't get the details, but he used to tell me, if you stay outside, you will die. You would rather stay on the altar and let God help you deal with your issues. Wow. So that was a great encouragement for me. So I would stand up and tell God, forgive me and help me to stand. I would go to my mentors and tell them, there's this boyfriend who's pulling me away from God. I do not, yes, I really loved him because he was my first boyfriend. So they would tell me, if you go back to school, make sure you leave him alone. I try leaving him, but yes, I was not able to.
So at what point did you leave him? Or he's the one you married?
No, he's not the one I married. Yeah. We broke up after, I think I was in third year, going to fourth year. We broke up. I prayed and told God, if this is not the person that you have purposed for me, I pray that you will reveal to me what your will for me is. And make sure, if there is anything that he's hiding from me, let it be unveiled to me. So that even when I feel like going back, I will not go back. And after 1 month, I got to know some stuff that he was hiding from me that were very sensitive. So I decided to just let him go.
Wow. And
I think also God had prepared him to leave me. So it was easy for us to part our ways. But now leaving him was a bit of a crisis. I think I even got to a point I had blood pressure. I used to vomit because of the pressure of leaving him. But my dad was an encouragement. He used to call me and ask me, how are you doing, my daughter? May the Lord continue to heal your heart. And for sure, he did that.
Wow. The
Yes.
Bible says that train a child in the way that he should go. And after he's older, he'll never depart from it. I think listening to the story of Mercy is a good story of good upbringing. That even though she was almost falling, that the voice of the Father, who is a man of God, and the counsel that he gave her, unconditional love, is what kept her sober. And we can talk about her story because there is a parent that did their job. I want to encourage every parent, wherever you are, even right now that the children are at home, kindly do the parenting. Don't delegate that to anybody else. Train up a child in the way they go. Do the best you can and leave the rest to God. See you after this break. Yeah, welcome back, our viewer. Our story is still unfolding, and we can see the grace of God, of course, and is evident by the upbringing that the good parents instilled upon Mercy, and that's why we have her story. So now you overcome the first breakup. It gives you some blood pressure. What was going on in your mind that time? Is it that you felt like the world has come to an end? Is it the breakup that hurt most, or your sin?
After the breakup, I think I was feeling lonely, and I was not sure whether I would get someone else for a boyfriend.
Wow.
Because, as I said, I used to struggle with esteem issues. So there is that lie that if you leave that person,
nobody will ever make you feel good enough.
Yes. And I think that is a struggle that most of us ladies go through.
Yeah.
And especially church girls, because you're not sure whether you will be accepted, because you have very many barriers.
You have very high standards.
Yes, you have standards that you have put for yourself. Like I wouldn't want to get married to someone who is not saved. I would want to stay sexually pure. I would want someone who will help me to grow spiritually and also in my personal life. So that was a struggle in my head. And I remember I even started partying, and some ladies, my lady friends, some started introducing me to some liquor. And I think I was not comfortable. I went out for maybe around 3 times, and then I used to feel out of place, because even if I go, I won't dance, I won't drink. I feel it's inappropriate and staying outside, and then I have allergies. When I go to people who are smoking, then I would get chest complications. So I just decided.
When you are in those clubs, you would dream. I believe the voice of your dad would speak louder.
Of course.
And you hear him behind you.
Yes, and at times he would call, or my mother would call, but I would go out and make sure I am not in a noisy place, so that they don't know where I am.
Wow.
Yes, but now that introduced me to dating now ungodly guys, because now I thought I have mixed up myself, and deep within I knew I was cut out to be a minister. So I said now, because I am not very straight, people may not know I am not straight, but deep within I knew I was not walking in the ways of God. I decided now I will be like Jonah. I will try and get hooked up to guys who are not saved.
Wow.
So any bad boy that I liked, if they asked me out, I would date them. But now the cycle would start, and it would bring issues in my life. I would feel I am not comfortable, but because I do not want to be a minister or even to get near the altar, I tried my best to stay there.
Why is it? Why were you running away from the call?
I was feeling it's too demanding, and the reward, especially on the material side, there is nothing.
Wow.
Because there is a time even my dad had a shirt that was torn on the collar, and some people in church were laughing at him. Some of the leaders, they were laughing at him. So I was wondering, with all these problems, and then I become a minister or a minister's wife, then I will be looked down upon. And then my mom is a bit introverted, so many people think that she is proud. She doesn't want to talk to people, but she is very good-hearted. She is open, even she is hurt by people in church. So I was fearing all these things. I wanted a comfortable life. I do my profession, I do my family. If I want to go out, I go out without limitations, because I knew for church you must be strict with your life, you must give yourself to God. Even if you sleep hungry, you must continue trusting in God. And as the Bible says that the things of God, they are foolishness to the people of the world. Now that I was thinking it could be foolish, it's just that we do not understand.
We do not understand.
Yes.
And actually it's the price we pay.
Yes.
Wow. So at what point now did you meet the right person?
When I finished college, I went to Deliverance, Nakuru, and I had decided I want to serve God. And I brought my papers, my original certificates on the altar. And I told the pastor that I want you to pray for me, that everything God gives me, I will use it to serve him.
Wow.
And I will not run after money, but money will run after me.
Amen.
And God will provide for me. So after that, I started looking for a place to work. And I got a job as a writer, but I was even never paid for the monies that I worked for. The person who had employed me, he started telling me he wants to pay me a visit in my house, and I refused. So my money got lost like that.
Yeah.
But now within that period, I received a call from Bishop Sami Gitare.
Yes.
He's the bishop of Gospel Celebration Church, which my father also ministers.
Yes.
So he offered me an opportunity to work with him.
Wow.
And I gladly accepted. Though I was a dry Christian when I went there, but because he gave me an opportunity to serve him as an administrator, that is where now my growth, my consistent growth started.
Wow.
So as I was working for him and ministering to him, at some point we had gone for a conference, a leaders meeting, and there I met a handsome guy.
Hallelujah. Amen.
We exchanged contacts,
Yes.
but without an intention.
Yes.
And I remember that year I prayed to God. I told God, I pray that you will give me genuine friends, friends that will walk with me.
Yeah.
Even when I am falling, they will be able to tell me that you need to make your ways right.
Yes.
And God brought this man.
Amen.
And with time, we got to know each other. I visited their church. He visited our church. And after 2 years, he asked me out.
Yeah.
He proposed to me. I accepted.
Yeah.
At some point, I had told my dad that I want to get married when I am a doctor.
Yes.
And I remembered that I returned the ring.
You returned the ring?
Yes.
Oh.
I returned the ring.
You wanted to go back to school?
Yeah, I thought I had made a mistake.
Yeah.
But God sent me people. And one person came and told me, God is asking if I give you a partner right now, before everything else that you are wishing for, will you accept them? And I was shocked.
Because you hadn't shared with them?
Yes, I hadn't shared with them.
Wow.
And then now a confusion comes. Other two guys, they ask me.
Wow.
And one came and told me, he was a pastor, he told me that my wife is with someone and that wife is you.
Oh,
Now
goodness.
I became even
More
more confused. But now I went back to God. I told God, I want to walk in your will. And if these guys, you have sent them, I know one of them is mine. So please confirm to me. And I asked for a sign. And the sign was fulfilled.
Wow, what sign
So-
did you ask? Is this something that we should know? Or
Let me keep it to myself for now.
now, but God gave you a clear sign.
Yes, God gave me a clear sign,
Yeah.
and I told him, because you have given me this sign, whatever happens, whether good or bad in my marriage, I will always come back to you,
Yeah.
because I know you have ordained it, and you will help me to go through every situation that comes through that marriage or in that marriage.
So is your husband by then was a pastor? Your
No,
fiancé?
he was not a pastor, and I was very happy.
Yes.
At least now God had made sure that I never got married to a pastor. But shock on me, exactly 1 year after our marriage,
Yeah.
he was ordained a pastor.
Oh my goodness, did you see that coming?
I didn't see that coming,
Uh,
but because I knew deep within me that I was cut out to be a minister and a pastor's wife, to be specific,
yes,
I knew now I cannot run away from God.
yes.
And I told God, I've been running away from you, but now I have accepted.
Yes.
Because I know in you there is a reward, there is comfort, there is peace. I may not have everything that every girl would want in a husband, like how, you know, these days everyone wants a high life, they want a big life.
Yeah.
They do not care how old that person is,
Yeah.
how spiritual that person is.
Yes.
I remember my dad told me that the first thing that you should look for in a man is a his spirituality.
Yes.
Because when everything else gets finished,
Yes.
that is what will make you stand.
Wow, what
And
a daddy.
yes, I have seen it work.
I love the way you talk about your dad.
Yes.
He must be your greatest inspiration.
He is my greatest inspiration,
Yeah.
and my mom as well.
Yeah.
She's that kind of a person I would openly go to,
Yeah.
because I realized even if in myself I knew I was struggling,
Yeah.
most people envied me. They used to think I am a very good child.
Yeah.
So I was the benchmark in the society, in the church.
Oh my goodness. And you have your own personal struggles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I had issues, I would go to my mom and tell her, this and this is happening to me. How do I handle it? Like
How did that happen? Because it's very hard for girls to open up with their mothers. So maybe you can tell us what made it easy for you to open up to your mom. Maybe there's a mother watching,
Yeah.
they have a daughter, they want to get that closeness.
Yeah. First, I was not opening up to my mom. I was opening to a friend of hers. So one of the days when we were speaking to the daughter to her friend, she told me every time our mom beats us, she tells me, kwani hamwezi kuwa kama mwende wa pasta. So I realized I was by the way, I was very organized, I was very focused, like I was no nonsense. So I was admired by many. But now I realized I am bringing trouble even to my friends. So I decided, if I am sharing with her, maybe she's sharing also with other people. So I decided, I know if I tell my mom something, she will not go out to gossip me.
Yes.
She will, if she gossips me, she will tell my dad.
Yeah.
And when she tells him, they will pray for me.
Yeah.
So I decided, even if I liked a boy, I would go and tell my mom, kuna ule kijana wa fulani, I like him.
And what would your mother say?
She would laugh, but she'd tell my dad, hey, Mercy thinks I am her bigger sister. And then my dad would tell her, you should appreciate she talks to you, because it is very hard to find a guy.
Because that is very hard for a mother to absorb.
Yes, yes. I remember even there was a time I was really pushed to sleep with a guy, and I went and told my mom, and she told me, please do not sleep with him, because you will not keep him, and when you get married you will not be a virgin. And I followed her instructions.
Wow.
So, and she told me, every time you're being pushed, make sure you pray and ask God to pull you away from that situation.
Wow.
And every time I reached that moment, I would tell God, I am here and I do not want to pass there. Please help me escape.
Wow.
And God would always give me a way to escape.
Amen.
Yes, and also I had some incidences, because I am too trusting. I trust very fast. Because of being brought up in a family
in
that...
a safe environment.
Yes, I used to trust guys very fast. And there are two scenarios I remember. I was almost raped by people who were close even to our family. So at one point I told God, I can't just do this, because that was a married man, and he was older than me by far. So I told God, please rescue me. And I remember something just came into me, and I told myself, I usually have some allergies at times when it is a bit cold. So I said I will pretend that I am having an asthmatic attack. So I started breathing and behaving like I am dying. That person was very, he started fearing. He was terrified, because he thought, now this person will die here. And when...
Was it in your house?
No, it was not in our house. He was supposed to drop me to our home, but because he was going to a cottage, a place where they used to go with his family, he told me, take me there, I drop my bags, and then I drop you home.
Wow.
So when we went there, he closed the door and hid the keys. Wow. So we started struggling. We struggled for like 1 hour. So when I was starting to give up. I was fearing, I was shaking, then God gave me that idea. So because he feared, he opened the door, he carried me to the vehicle, and he took me home.
And did
then,
you disclose to your parents?
No, I was afraid to. So I just kept it to myself. But I was very thankful to God that he saved me from that person.
Wow, our viewer, what an inspiration, what a story. I think I admire your honesty, I admire your courage, because you're young but focused.
Yes.
And I believe every pastor's kid, wherever you are, or you are a young girl, just stand on the principles of the word of God and you can never be wrong. And as the Bible says, there's no temptation that comes our way that God is not able to deliver us from it. As we get to the last segment of this program, kindly stay tuned, share with your friends and family, and keep it CTN TV. Amen, amen. Our viewer, what a wonderful testimony we are hearing from Amasi Mwende, now Mrs. Geshohe, and a mother of one. It's been a journey and a walk of faith, and we can testify that in spite of the temptations, the gains are more. And wherever you are and you want to share your story with us, we truly appreciate, and reminding you that the Gorgeous Women's Dinner is coming in February. And in case you want to register, kindly call the number on your screen. It's going to be wonderful. There's going to be many speakers, many inspiring stories. And it's an all-dress-up event for only ladies, and we come and dine together and encourage each other. Thank you again, Mercy, for coming.
Thank you.
So, we've talked about your journey, your school life, your upbringing, your marriage. Now you get married to this man. What was the shock, or maybe what are the things that you learned in marriage that you were not prepared for?
I can say when I used to work for Bishop Gitari, he's so into families.
Yes.
So he has programs, he has books, he used to be invited for seminars. So he used to go with me.
Yeah.
So I used to hear him speak to men and women about how to handle each other.
Yeah.
So at least I had an idea of what I should do.
Yes.
But now, coming to reality,
yes,
I had some issues, for instance, with submission. It was an issue.
Yes.
And I remember one day my husband held my head and told me, wewe Mercy, saa zingine unakuanga na kichwa ngumu.
I know.
And from that day I told God, now I think there is that Kaumeru in me that is trying to lead me.
Yeah.
But I do not want to be led by
the carnal nature.
Yes, yes. Help me to submit.
So break it down. What was submission to you?
Submission to me was I obey, but still if I have an idea, I should speak it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I should be a rag, that he will step on me every time.
Yeah.
And also because of being in college, there is feminism.
Yeah.
So, and equality being preached.
Yeah.
So I knew I had a place in that house. And at times I thought I should stamp.
Maybe you wanted to take a bit too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stamp my place.
Oh, I tell you.
Yes, in the family.
Yeah. How did it, what effect did it have on your marriage?
Most of the times I would try to force my husband to do something. He would not do it.
Yeah.
But he would tell me, you should have told me this way, I would have done it. But now it's like you're too authoritative.
Yeah, the tone was not good.
Yes, and at times I find myself there, but whenever I do that, I ask him, did I say it right? If I didn't, I apologize and say, I will try to rectify.
Wow.
Yes.
How beautiful.
Yes.
I think the more we talk with you is the way we can see the good virtues and the good qualities that are instilled in you.
Yeah.
And now that you're a pastor's wife, that now your husband is called, how has it changed the dynamics of your home? Now you are no longer a pastor's kid, you are now a mother, a wife, and a pastor's wife.
I decided to give myself out to God and let His will be done in my life. At times we've been having challenges because my husband works as well. He's not full-time.
Yes.
So at times he's committed to go out and work, and at times he's not even in church on Sundays. But now I realized that God was creating a platform for me to stand in the gap for Him.
Wow.
So every time I get an opportunity to minister in church, whether in singing, in word, or even in moderation of the service, I know that I am standing in also for my husband. So I need to represent him very well because he's an excellent person. He likes things done well. So I do my best, and every time I give him feedback, and I also ask him, where can I rectify? So he has helped me grow and also give myself and also my service to the people of God and also to God. And then bearing in mind I am introverted, He has helped me to believe in myself. Even if I am shaking at times, you can't tell. Yes. Yeah. So
he's been able. Actually, your husband now has become one of your greatest mentors.
Yes.
In that journey of ministry. That is so inspiring.
Yes.
So maybe there could be a girl, there could be a lady somewhere that has been through what you've been through, and they're wondering, they're stuck, they cannot come out, and probably they don't have the privilege of having supportive parents like you had. What advice would you give, especially those who are in college? What advice would you give them?
First, I would want to tell them that when you rely on God, He will be able to rescue you. I believe in sincere prayers with God. Like, God, I am here, I want to talk to you. Not crying. I want to be sincere with you. I would cry if it is hurting. But
don't beat about the bush telling God stories. Go to the real point.
And be sincere with Him because He understands you. He is your manufacturer. He has your blueprint. So when you speak to Him, He will direct you and He will guide you. Yes, and then know yourself and try to find your identity. Your identity as a lady, your identity as a Christian, and love who you are. If you are introverted, love your introversy because God will use you there. If you're extrovert, use it to the glory of God. And do not allow other people to influence you, especially negatively. If you have to be influenced, accept positive influence. But negative influence will leave you feeling bad because you tried to fit in and you did not. So if you have someone even that can mentor you and someone that you can talk to, find someone who is open and ask God even to give you someone who you can open up to, and they will help you and work with you. You have someone to be accountable with.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, so before we finish, maybe tell us, how is your relationship with your mother-in-law?
Unfortunately, my mother-in-law is late.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I never got to meet her and also dad.
And also dad.
Yes.
Wow. So who received you?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
So she's acting like, now you could say like your mother who is acting.
Yes.
So how is your relationship with her?
It's very good.
Yes.
She's a very lovely person, supportive.
Yes.
She prays for us, very open. She can give you anything. I can say I have never been stressed. I do not know being stressed by in-laws.
Oh, glory to God.
Yes.
And same case when it comes to your side as well.
Yes. My husband was well accepted. And I remember the first time we went home and my dad prayed for us. Doors started opening on him.
Wow.
So he really honors my dad and my mom, and they love him as well.
So what are the standards that you'd probably ask a lady who is wanting to get married. Because you said earlier on that the standards right now is as long as he has money, he can give me high life.
Yes.
I go for it. So what are the 3 key standards that you feel that a lady that is born again and is willing to settle in a home should have? Yeah.
One is someone who is spiritual.
Yes.
Someone who has a relationship with God, because he will allow you to have a relationship with God, and he will walk with you and he will support you. Then 2, someone who is not insecure.
Yes.
Someone who can allow you an opportunity to even minister.
Yes.
Someone who can give you an opportunity to go and study, even if they have not reached your level.
Yeah.
They are ready to allow you.
Wow.
Someone who will not keep calling and asking you where you are, because they trust you.
Yes.
That is someone that is good.
Okay.
And I think the other list, it depends with your preference.
Yes.
And as long as you let God know.
So what was one preference, apart from being spiritual and secure, that Mercy knew that if I get this one, it stick?
Someone who loves people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Someone who is hospitable.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Wow, my viewer, I've enjoyed this interview with Mercy Mwende. What an inspiration from a young lady, a young mother, a young pastor, and a pastor's kid that has gone through the journey, but she did not allow it to break her. But she's used her story to inspire somebody that it can be done. So don't say that girls are never getting married and they're not living a good life. She said she got married pure, and it's possible even in this generation. Don't allow people to put you down and to make you feel like you are inadequate because you've chosen the good path. The Bible says that narrow is the path that leads to righteousness and to light, but wider is the road that leads to destruction. So make sure that you follow the narrow path. Even if it's not popular, follow it. At the end of it all, the rewards of righteousness can never be traded in with anything. The pleasures of sin are temporary, but the rewards of righteousness are eternal. I've always enjoyed hosting the Gorgeous Woman Show. Keep telling us your feedback. It's important to us. We appreciate you for tuning in. It's me again, Reverend Ruth Wamoyo. God bless you. God do you good. Until we see you next time.